Hey guys, welcome back to the second video. The previous video was the day before, which was Saturday when we had the outage at the school. I'm going to continue and I'm going to show you guys how to use Workbench. So let me get it started up here. Alright, so as you see here, I have Workbench and we'll go into the lecture and talk about Workbench. But before I do that, let me show you about this week. So this week we'll come out, we'll have the module overview, learning resources. So module two readings, chapters 2, 3, and 4. Since this is an 8-week course, a little bit more information. Summary, do your summary, 250 words at a minimum. Tell me what you learned based off the lecture and what you did for the week. Assignment 2. So this one right here is initially you're going to go out to this website right here. And this is my GitHub account, and you'll come out to module 2 and you would download each one of these. Now I'll show you how to do one of these once we get into showing you how to do Workbench. But mainly you're going to click on this and you're going to copy this code and you're going to paste it into Workbench. So like I said, I'll walk you through how to do the first one. I'll let you do the other two on your own. All right. Then you're going to create these databases. And then I'm going to want to see a screenshot of them. And so like if I go into my account, once you set up your MySQL account, you'll be able to just double click on it, it pops up. If you look here, I have all these different databases. So I want to see a screenshot of, for your homework assignment, you'll do something like this. And I'll be able to do, you'll do a screenshot, it has your name, and I'll be able to see EX, I'll be able to see AP and OM and so forth. So that will be important. Then from B, you're going to do execute each .SQL file into a query. So you're going to write a query that pulls data from invoices table. So we'll actually do a couple of these in class to show you how to do it. And then you'll just follow it. And then when you save your file, just save it as CMPS160 Mod2 your last name .SQL. So like I said, we'll do a couple of these just to kind of get you started and we'll go from there. So that is assignment 2. That's not due till next week. Module 2 lecture will be this video. There's a quiz that's due next week. And then there's a discussion. So on a discussion, follow the rubric in the syllabus on grading, blah, blah, blah. So locate a relational database that is not discussed in this book. So do not include a SQL Server, an Oracle, a Google, someone that has a database, and please do not duplicate other students' results. So initial post, introduce the name of the database, who developed it, its intended target users, how long has it been around, who is the intended target user, what are the strengths and weaknesses, is it open source or not, how expensive is it, can you purchase a license, is it free? In addition, also reply to 2 other classmates. So how this works is when you do initial posts, it's worth 30 points. And then if you reply to another person, it's 40 points, it's 10 points. And then your second person, it's another 10 points. So that's how you earn the 50 points, okay? So we'll go back to that. And then each week what will happen is going into each week's assignment, I will do a overview of, I'll go over the homework assignment and make sure, but we'll make sure that everyone did it before I go over it. Module 1, this week's assignment was create assignment PDF. So in this one right here, I was looking for you guys to create a sample list of sports teams and their properties, like on page 11 in the textbook. So it'll be similar to sports teams. So what I'm looking for you guys to do something in Excel and then switch it over to PDF. But I'll wait till you guys turn that in before I go over that. All right, module 2. Let's see here. So we'll get started. So once again, I'm going to close out of here real quick. When you set up an account, and hopefully at this point everyone's already gone through this, if you set up your new account, it'll be your connection name here, blah, blah, blah. It'll be your host name. So if it was Landshark, .it.point.park.edu, port always stays at 3306, username's root, and then store and keychain, you put your password, and that's it. So like I already had this set up, I'll just double click on it. So let's clear this. I don't know what this is. Oh, that was something I was working on. So let's clear this. Come on. Don't save. Don't save. All right, come on. Let me do a new SQL. There we go. All right, great. All right, so this is my SQL. This right here, anytime I want to create a new query, I just click on this right here, and it creates a new tab right here. And it'll go in ascending order from 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever. Up here is if you want to open a query. So if you have a query out there that you want to open, you could do that. This right here is just, it says it's empty, no schema. This right here, if you click on this, is if you want to add a new database, but we will work on that in following weeks of how to do that. So we're not going to do that right now. This right here is no schema was selected. So these are just like quick buttons. Your main thing is when you actually go into the table. So one of the tables that you are going to go out to the website, which I think right here is the AP database. So the AP database here, these are schemas. So what's a schema? Schema is basically a data, well, it's all it is a database environment. So whatever the name of your database is, that's what your schema is. So if you look at the schemas here, AP is the one that you're going to download. So if I click on AP, we have tables, views, store, procedures, and functions. So what are those? Tables is just a location where you store data. And then views is a subset of that data. Store procedures are a program that allows you to do multiple things from SQL. And then functions is another way of doing something quick and easy in one place versus multiple places. But those we have other weeks that we'll talk about specific views, store procedures, and functions. But for now, we're going to click on tables, and this lists all your tables that you have. Now, if you want to, so in the lecture this week, all we're talking about is kind of going through the basics of, I'm trying to find an example, the basics of MySQL Workbench. So you already connected you've already gone through, your username's root and so forth. Let's see, let me find something here. Let me go to administrator. So if you go to administrator and click on server status, so I think I'll go through this first before I go through the actual code. So this right here will say Jeff's account, using free BSD. So our gel counter is a free, it's called free BSD. That's the name of the environment that we're using, operating system. Running since whenever. It shows performance schema. So all this is connected to our gel account. Okay, so this is just running on a gel account. Shows the traffic, key efficiency. So this just has a nice little view to see what's happening in the environment. Okay, so this is very nice to have. Let's see here. If we click on client connections, it'll show you any connections that you have connected to the database. So right now I don't have anything connected. Let's see if I can actually go out here. I might have this still. So if I go out to HSD, this is the previous, this used to be our old database environment. Let's see here. All right, so I wonder if it'll show if I'm connected to this now. So let's do this. All right, so now that I refreshed it, what it did is it went out here to this PHP site here. It's running a query and it just queries this data. So now that I went out there, it shows the query that's, it won't show the exact query, but it's showing that there is somebody out on a page somewhere. Now, if I leave that page and come back out here and hit refresh, it hasn't closed the connection yet, so the connection's still open. It shows that I'm connected from Comcast, that's my browser, so that's good. Has the root information, shows the query sleeping because why? I'm not doing anything with it right now. So if I'll go back out there, oops, not that one. If I go back out there, all right, I was just there. All right, there we go. Let's do, I don't want to add anything. Let's do play this. All right, and hit refresh. I come back out and do refresh. So it's picking up, there's a query out there. So that's what that is right there for client connection. So that's good to have that. You could also kill connections. So if someone's connected, you can just come down here and say, you know what, I want to kill that guy. And I want to kill that guy. Yep, that just allows you to kill the connection, so no one's able to use that website. All right, let's see here. All right, users and privileges. This right here just shows your usernames who are out there. So this is that we had the root, so these are fine. I'm not worried about them. I won't go in here and delete anything because it will mess you up, I promise. So if you have your gel account set up, just leave it as is, because fixing them is not what I want to be doing. Server variables, it just shows server variables that you could use, gives you the commands. Status and system variables. Oh, come on. That's the exact word. Okay, that's that one. I was already on there. Data export, if you want to export your database somewhere. So for example, this one, if I wanted to do boat owners, export it, I could dump it somewhere. So I could do a, think of it as a backup process, which is fine. Data import, import from this. If you're importing a new environment, not really going to get into that. Startup shutdown features requires host. Not going to do that either because we're using a different thing. All right, so this has to be configured for you to use it, no big deal. Performance is good, so it shows your performance, incoming traffic, outgoing traffic. Here's the thing, it's just you using it, so it's not gonna be a big deal. It shows your MySQL database, environment, so it gives you a little overview dashboard environment, which is cool. Performance reports, you could do reports, schema setup, and so forth. So that in a nutshell is pretty much your environment. It kind of gets you started, tells you about it, and so forth. Go into a query here, and I'll show you how to access a query really quick. I'm trying to close that, but it's not closing. All right. So if we go over to schema again, we're in tables. And so for example, invoice, if you right click on it, actually when you click on it immediately, at the bottom here, it'll give you all the columns that are in there, and it'll give you the data variables. So if you click on a column, for example, like invoice, it shows you all the column names, and we have invoice ID, and it also gives you the data type. So this is using an integer and showing that it has a primary called A1. Vendor ID, it's using an integer, and it's 11 is a length. Invoice number, it's using it's a varchar, which is a string value, and it has a maximum of 50 characters in it. Okay, so if you do this, right click on it, you have all these different options. Whatever you do, don't drop it. Don't truncate it or drop it until I tell you what that is. Meantime, if I do select rows limit, it'll do select all from AP invoice, and you do a limit right here. So you can say, oh, only give me 500, and it'll show you all that information here, which is good. So it automatically pulls these queries up for you. It'll pull like a subset of data, and this right here gives you some query stats that you can use. You can do an execution plan. It's just a way to figure out execution. It gives you sometimes it gives you like a suggestion of what you should do. But let's say if you want to, let's see if we could figure a way to mess this up on purpose. All right, so let's say we select everything from invoices, and then we can also, let me increase the size of this here. We select everything from invoices, and let's grab let's say where, and I'll explain what all this is in a minute here. We'll do a table, a field that doesn't exist. Numbers that not exist, and we'll say that right there. Okay, and we'll execute it. If you hit the lightning bolt up here, it executes the query. You see down here, it gives an error message. So this is how you handle syntax errors. It'll have the action, the time it happened, and it gives a response. And it says unknown column invoice numbers. So that tells you that, hey, I don't have that column. What columns do I have? Well, if you click on your table right here, and you click on columns, it lists the columns that you have. So that is a way of identifying which columns that you do have. Okay, so common causes of errors are having the wrong database selected. So for example, in this case right here, I did the select all. So let's say I did a new query. And let's say I come down here and said, let me change the thing here. All right, let's say I said select all from, and we know that we want to do the invoices, so we're good. Invoices, and we just run that. Well, what do you think will happen? It will not run because we didn't select a database. So two ways that you could do it. You can take the name of the schema, which is AP, and you could do this right here. You could put schema dot and the name of the field table, just like that. Run it. It works fine. The other way that you can do it is, now if we run it again, it won't run. You could type up here and type use the name of your schema, AP, like that, and guess what? It runs. So there's two ways that you could do it. Okay, you could also clear all this stuff too as well. So I could just hit clear and clears those actions. The other way for a common cause of error message would be misspelling the name of the table column. So let's say in this case right here, we know we have invoices. So let's say we said where. Now we know that if we do vendor ID equals 89, it works because why? We spelled it right. Okay, so pull back data. Let's think that we spelled it ER. Right, that works. You do that, and it tells you right here, unknown column. So why was it unknown? Well, we misspelled it. I misspelled keyword, omitting the closing quotation mark. So for example, let's say that we do get vendor spelled right, but, oops. That still works, so that's fine. All right, so those are ways that you can get common error messages. So let's see, what else can I show you? I talked about the SQL script, how to open a SQL script, how to switch between tabs. Just go there. That's that first part there. How to save a new script, that's a good one. So let's do this. So we want to save it. We could come up to, now remember I'm using a Mac, you guys might be using a PC. Your file will be different, but pretty much the same. You'll do save script as, and then you'll want to name it something. So we'll say testing, I'll say Mod2 test. Make sure your file is .sql, hit save, and boom, you saved it. So now if I wanted to open it, I could just come up here and open recent, or I could come right here and open it. And there you go. I have my code just like that. So that is how you open it. Let's see, what else can I show you? Script as a result, talked about that. All right, how to run, here, let me show you something. This is another thing I should show you. So let's close this one right here. These buttons don't want to work for me. All right, so we know that this works. Oops. So now let's do this. Let's run all from invoices. It's just going to run the first one. So say you want to run this one only. You could highlight it and run it, and it'll work fine. So if you want to only run one of the queries, just highlight it and run it. You just can't run them both like that unless you union them. If you union them, then that's for another day. I'm not going to talk about that. That'll get confusing. All right, so let's see, what else can I show you in here? We're not going to go through the command line, so not worry about that. I'm not going to go through, I think this will show it up in here. I'm not sure. It might only be a Unix command. Yeah, this is only going to be a Unix command, but it might still work. Yeah, I thought it would work here. So what I could do here is by doing show databases, oops, it shows all the databases that we have, which we already seen that by clicking this, it shows the databases. So that is another way to see what databases you have out there. This is usually for if you log in through the backend aspect of it and you can't see it, that's how you do it. All right, so that right there will be module 1, and that's talking about how to use a workbench, okay? So close that. No, I don't want to save it, don't care about it. The guy does not want to close. I'm not sure why they're giving me a hard time. All right, nonetheless, no big deal. Let me clear this stuff out here. So let's talk about how to retrieve data from a single table, okay? So the objective is code select statements that require any language elements presented in this chapter or this module. Distinguish between the base table values and calculated values in the select column statements. Describe the use of column alias. Describe the order of the use of parentheses for arithmetic expressions. We'll talk about the concat function. We'll talk a little bit about distinct, and we'll talk about functions in this lecture. So we'll talk about some other objectives such as where, in between, is null, order by, and so forth. The 5 clauses of statement that we have is select, from, where, order by, and limit. So we'll talk about all those as well. So I'm going to actually end this video. This is the first part. This is video number 2 of our lecture. The second part of it, we'll go through and talk about a little bit more in depth about SQL. And we'll talk a little bit more in depth of how to retrieve data from a table. And we'll save some samples here. And the samples I save, I will upload for you guys to, well, I'll let you guys play around with it and then upload it, so forth. So thank you for watching video number 2. It's 21 minutes. I'm going to try to trim down the lecture. And then the second part of the lecture will be talking about the SQL aspect of it. Okay, thanks for watching, guys. I'll talk to you soon.